Hello and welcome to Paradise. Today I'm going to be going over one of my favorite decks, Brallin and Shabraz. This will be a cEDH deck tech. The name of the deck is Sharkboy and Lavagirl. Let's get right into it. Alright, let's start off by talking about the win cons. The main win con in this deck is Curiosity. You're going to want to get this on Brallin, and you want to go to combat, and you're going to be able to deal damage, draw a card. Hopefully you'll be over 7 cards, because once you're over 7 cards and you go to your end step, you'll be able to discard and just continually ping your opponents because you'll discard. Curiosity will trigger to make you draw a card, and then you'll have to discard again due to the having over 7 cards again. Otherwise, you're going to need to get a discard outlet, which we have a couple of those in this deck. The second win con we have in this deck is Malcolm and Glinthorn combo. You're already going to be running Glinthorn in this deck anyways because it combos with Curiosity, and that is the main win con in the deck. So because you're already running Glinthorn, you're going to toss in Malcolm as well because that combos off if you just have those two alone. And it's kind of a good backup win con if your commander dies because it's actually pretty cheap. Another win con we have in this deck is Underworld Breach with LED and Brain Freeze to be able to mill out your opponents and just win by passing the turn. It's a solid way to win in this deck, and it's easy to get to with the tutors that we're about to talk to in the next slide. Alright, so now that we've talked about our win cons, let's talk about how we get there. First, let's talk about the wheels that we have in this deck. There's plenty of ways to draw in this deck, but one of the main ways to draw is through these wheels, where we're able to discard our hand and draw new cards, just to try to get either to a tutor or to one of our win cons. Some of the tutors we have in this deck include Enlightened Tutor and Intuition. We also run Gamble, but Intuition is really good because it lets us get Savine's Reclamation, LED, and Underworld Breach to be able to combo off with those cards. And Enlightened Tutor, of course, goes for your Curiosity. We also have some card draw on creatures, like Ledger Shredder, Esper Sentinel, and Fairy Mastermind. Fairy Mastermind is a very new card, and it kind of works really well with our deck. And Ledger Shredder actually works really well too because it allows us to discard, which triggers Brallin, and draw, which triggers Shabraz, if we have either of them out there. So it's actually pretty good for the synergy in our deck, as well as, continuing to draw cards. And of course we have Rhystic Study and Mystic Remora, just because they're so powerful already on their own, you kind of have to run them in this kind of a deck. Now that we've talked about card draw, let's talk about the interaction in this deck. Of course you're going to run counterspells, you're going to run Force of Negation, Force of Will, Pact of Negation. You're going to run other stuff too, like Fierce Guardianship and Deflecting Swat, of course. And all of the, 1 mana and 0 mana counter spells that you can, just to be able to stop your opponents from winning and also protect your own win cons. There's a couple targeted removal spells in this deck. In my version, there's not that many. You could probably get away with running some more, like March of Swirling Mist I don't have in my deck, but you could probably add it in there. The deck list will be in the description down below, but if you're interested in running more removal, go for it. This is mainly just to be able to stop stacks pieces that get in your way. Specifically, one of the ones we're going to talk about here in a second, in Drannith Magistrate. And then, so now we're going to talk about stacks. So in our stacks section, we have Drannith Magistrate and Narset. Drannith obviously is huge for the format, probably one of the best white cards we have in our format. And Narset is really good because it not only stops our opponents from drawing, it also combos with our wheels very well, and it helps us get to more win cons with the -2 ability. So it kind of does 3 things in one. It's kind of slow being at 3 mana, but I think it's worth it to run in this deck just because you are running the wheels that you're running, and it does stacks out your opponents a little bit that are trying to go a little fast. Last but not least, we have our mana base that we want to run in this deck. We're going to start with Artifact Ramp, and of course you're going to run all of the 0-drop artifacts like Chrome Mox, Mox Diamond, and Mox Opal, and all the other things, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Jeweled Lotus, everything that you would normally run in your cEDH decks, right? And you're also going to run your creature ramp like Simian Spirit Guide and Dockside Extortionist. Now I have Ragavan in my list, but that's also another one that you could probably swap out for some interaction if you want to, or just some other cards. but I prefer to run Ragavan. Just, you know, there's always somebody you're going to be able to hit with that dash, get a little bit of card advantage, get some ramp. I think he's overall a really good card for this deck. And then as far as the lands go, you're gonna of course gonna want to run your fetches, your duels, your shocks. But you also kind of want to run some of those utility lands like Otawara and whatnot, right? So it's kind of up to you on that front as far as the lands are concerned. But you're obviously gonna want to be heavy into blue and a little bit more into red as well because of your win cons. But yeah, that's pretty much the idea of what this deck is trying to do. You're trying to get ramp out. You're trying to draw into one of your combos, and in the meantime, you have a plenty of removal, not removal, but plenty of counter spells and interaction to be able to get your opponent's win con stopped as well. If you have any questions about this deck list or want to check it out for yourself, it'll be down in the description down below. Also, leave a comment on what you think I should do for the next deck list that I give out, or if you guys have a specific commander that you would want me to build a deck around, I will go ahead and do that and make another one of these. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and leave a like, and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.